In this video, we're going to continue discussing the McKenzie approach for treating low back pain. In the previous video, we discussed the progressions for lumbar extension. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about the progressions for lumbar flexion. If you'd like more information on centralization, peripheralization, and exactly how the McKenzie approach works, go back and watch the start of the previous video. I'll be putting a link to it in the description of this one. But for now, I'm going to assume that you understand that, and we're going to go directly into the McKenzie progression for lumbar flexion. The progression begins with positioning in supine, which can then progress to hook lying, partial double knees to chest, full double knees to chest, seated forward fold, and then finally the most intense of these, the standing forward fold. And as you go down on this progression toward the standing forward fold, two things happen. Number one, you get a decreasing amount of lumbar lordosis with each movement. And that corresponds with the second thing, increasing lumbar flexion. Now the first of the progression is sustained supine positioning, as you see down here on the bottom right. Now, the vast majority of patients that you'll see on the first visit who have a lumbar flexion directional preference are going to be able to progress beyond this, whether it's to hook lying or further. But the patients who get, so to speak, stuck in this on the first visit and aren't able to progress, it's generally because their symptoms are just very, very severe. And if they're severe, that's okay. We're going to focus on getting some centralization, but also pain management. And in the context of pain management, oftentimes in this position, we'll just stick a heating pack under the patient's lumbar spine. They kind of lay on it, again, to help with pain management. But assuming that the patient's symptoms centralize in this position and they can tolerate it, well, then we can progress to the hook lying position as shown right here. Now, you'll notice here that compared to the supine position, there is an increased amount of lumbar flexion, so decreased lumbar lordosis, so this is going to be a little bit more intense. Again, you can choose to hold the hook lying position in a sustained fashion, or you can do a transition between supine and hook lying. And essentially what you're doing there is kind of just doing a heel slide up the table. And you might do about 10 of these repetitions. Now, as with the McKenzie extension approach, and really with any McKenzie approach for the back, these are slow movements. This is not fast, this is not speed, this is not about power, slow and controlled. All we're trying to do is centralize the patient's symptoms. So there's your transition from supine to hook lying. Now, assuming the patient's symptoms centralize, and they can tolerate it, we'll then progress to a partial double knees to chest position. I say partial because obviously here I'm not in full hip flexion. I could certainly bring my thighs up further, but maybe the partial double knees to chest, like this, is all the patient can tolerate. Okay? So we can either choose to hold that position, or we can do a movement between hook lying and partial double knees to chest, like this. Again, this movement is going to require hip flexors. Okay? So if they're very weak, it might be a little bit difficult for the patient to do this. One way they could do this in an active assistive fashion is they could simply have a band or a strap around the back of their thighs holding on with their arms to kind of help pull the thighs up into that position. Okay? Once again, assuming symptom centralization and patient tolerance, we can then progress to a double knees to chest position. I can certainly hold this full double knees to chest position, or I can move between a partial double knees to chest and a full double knees to chest. As I go towards full double knees to chest, I'm getting increased lumbar flexion and decreased lumbar lordosis. Those two things go together. Also notice as I let my legs down, I'm not letting them all the way down to the table, which would basically be the hook lying position. There's no rule that says you have to do it this way. I can certainly let my legs go all the way down to hook lying, or I can do it as I'm doing in the video here. Again, it's whatever works for the patient, whatever centralizes their symptoms. Now, assuming this movement centralizes the patient's symptoms and they can tolerate it, you can then progress to a seated forward fold. Patient's going to be seated at the end of a table, a chair, whatever it happens to be, and they're just going to bend forward and try to touch their hands to the ground. That's all there is to it here. If they can't reach all the way to the ground, you can certainly stop short of the ground, but the goal should be to touch the ground. Now, where am I touching the ground? Well, I was actually touching behind my heels. Okay? That's the most intense spot that you can touch the floor. I'm getting the most lumbar flexion when I do that. However, what I can do is I can make it a little bit less intense by touching right at the level of my heels, like that. Or even in front of my heels. That's the least intense. Okay? So depending on where you're touching the floor, that changes the intensity of the fold. Behind the heels is the most intense. At the level of the heels is a little bit less intense. And in front of the heels is the least intense. Now, assuming that the seated forward fold centralizes the patient's symptoms and they can tolerate it, we can then progress to the standing forward fold. Now, as you might guess, standing forward fold, it's done in standing, and you're just bending forward with the intent of touching your fingers to the ground. Now, if that's too intense, then you should dial it back. So maybe just touch your fingers to your feet, or to your ankles, or maybe halfway down your shins, etc. Okay? And then as symptoms continue to centralize, you get more tolerance to it, you can then bend down further, back from the shins, to the ankle, to the feet, finally back to the ground. Thank you for all your support. Be sure to check out my Instagram for cool science and not science stuff.